Welcome back to Shocking Stories, where we uncover the most haunting true crime cases that will make you question the boundaries between guilt and grace, and wonder whether some acts of forgiveness come from beyond the grave. I'm your host, and today we're heading to a quiet suburb in Atlanta, Georgia, where a convicted killer's claims of being saved by his victim's ghost led to one of the most debated supernatural investigations in criminal history. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to hear involves a case that blurred the lines between redemption, hallucination, and something far more otherworldly. This is the story of Marcus Thompson, a 48-year-old parolee who served 22 years for the brutal murder of 26-year-old teacher Sarah Chen. But when Marcus began experiencing deadly accidents that were mysteriously averted by warnings from Sarah's voice, investigators had to confront an impossible dilemma. Was Marcus being haunted by guilt, targeted by a vengeful setup, or protected by a supernatural pact that defied death itself? Picture this. It's 3:17 a.m. on September 23, 2024, and Marcus Thompson jolts awake in his small Atlanta apartment, his heart pounding from a nightmare where he's trapped in a burning car. But as he shakes off the dream, he hears a soft, familiar voice whispering in the darkness. "Marcus, don't drive tomorrow. The brakes will fail on Peachtree Street. It's not your time yet." Marcus recognizes the voice immediately. It's Sarah Chen, the woman he murdered in a botched robbery 22 years earlier. Terrified and convinced he's losing his mind, Marcus dismisses it as a hallucination brought on by the stress of his recent parole and the nightmares that have plagued him since prison. Marcus had been a model parolee, recalled his probation officer, Patricia Moore, during her later testimony. He was working as a mechanic, attending therapy, and making every effort to rebuild his life. But he often spoke about the guilt that haunted him over Sarah's death. We thought his claims about hearing her voice were just manifestations of that guilt. But the next day, September 24th, Marcus's car indeed suffered catastrophic brake failure while driving on Peachtree Street. Miraculously, he managed to coast to a stop without injury, only because he had heeded the ghostly warning and driven extra cautiously. A mechanic's inspection revealed that the brake lines had been deliberately cut, suggesting sabotage rather than mechanical failure. The sabotage was professional-level work, explained Atlanta Police Detective Jennifer Walsh, who was assigned to investigate the incident. Someone had accessed Marcus's car and tampered with the brakes in a way that would cause failure at high speed. If Marcus hadn't been warned, he would have died in a horrific crash. Marcus reported the voice and the warning to his probation officer, who initially dismissed it as paranoia. But when a second incident occurred just 3 days later, Marcus heard Sarah's voice warning him not to eat at his usual diner because the food is poisoned, and subsequent testing revealed arsenic in his regular meal. Authorities began to take his claims seriously. The poison was real, and it was lethal, Detective Walsh confirmed. Someone was systematically trying to kill Marcus Thompson, using methods that suggested intimate knowledge of his daily routines. But the warnings from Sarah Chen's voice were saving his life each time. Sarah Chen had been a beloved elementary school teacher whose random murder during a convenience store robbery in 2002 had shocked the Atlanta community. Marcus, then 26 and addicted to drugs, had panicked during the robbery and shot Sarah when she tried to call for help. He was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 20 years. During his time in prison, Marcus had undergone a profound transformation. He had gotten clean, earned a GED, and become a mentor to younger inmates. He had written hundreds of letters to Sarah's family expressing remorse, though they had never responded. His parole in 2024 had been granted based on his exemplary behavior and genuine rehabilitation. But Sarah's family had publicly opposed his release, with her brother David Chen stating during the parole hearing, "Marcus Thompson took my sister's life. He doesn't deserve a second chance when she never got one." The threats against Marcus suggested that someone connected to Sarah's family might be seeking vigilante justice. But the supernatural warnings complicated the investigation, as Marcus insisted that Sarah's ghost was protecting him from harm. Marcus was convinced that Sarah's spirit had forgiven him and was now watching over him, Detective Walsh observed. He described feeling her presence during moments of danger, hearing her voice clearly guiding him to safety. It sounded crazy, but the warnings were saving his life. The third incident occurred on October 1, 2024, when Marcus heard Sarah's voice warning him not to enter his apartment because there's a bomb inside. SWAT teams evacuated the building and discovered an improvised explosive device wired to his door, set to detonate upon entry. The bomb was sophisticated, using military-grade explosives, explained bomb technician Robert Kim. This wasn't amateur work. Someone with training had built a device that would have killed Marcus and potentially collapsed part of the building. With 3 attempts on Marcus's life, all averted by supernatural warnings, investigators were forced to consider whether Sarah Chen's ghost was indeed intervening. They brought in parapsychologist Dr. Lisa Martinez to evaluate Marcus and investigate the possibility of genuine supernatural activity. Dr. Martinez conducted extensive testing, including psychological evaluations, polygraph tests, and even EVP recordings in Marcus's apartment, Detective Walsh revealed. What she found challenged everything we thought we knew about life after death. What do you think Dr. Martinez discovered during her supernatural investigation? Drop your theories in the comments below, because what she uncovered would expose a conspiracy that went far beyond vigilante revenge and reveal that sometimes forgiveness comes at a price that even death can't pay. The voice saving Marcus's life wasn't just a ghost. It was part of a larger plan that would force him to confront his past crimes in ways he never imagined. Like this video if you're as intrigued by this ghostly protector as I am, and let me know in the comments whether you believe victim spirits can forgive their killers. Don't forget to subscribe because in part 2, we're going to reveal the shocking truth about Sarah's ghost, and discover that Marcus's salvation came with strings attached that would pull him back into a world of crime he thought he had left behind. Welcome back to Shocking Stories. When we left off, parapsychologist Dr. Lisa Martinez had been brought in to investigate Marcus Thompson's claims of being saved by his victim's ghost. What she discovered during her evaluation would expose one of the most elaborate deceptions in criminal history and reveal that sometimes the line between supernatural forgiveness and earthly manipulation is thinner than a whisper. Dr. Lisa Martinez's investigation began with a comprehensive psychological evaluation of Marcus to rule out hallucinations, mental illness, or deliberate fabrication. Her tests confirmed that Marcus was psychologically stable, with no signs of psychosis or deceptive behavior. Polygraph results showed he was telling the truth about hearing Sarah's voice and the warnings that had saved his life. But it was during an EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, session in Marcus's apartment that Dr. Martinez captured something extraordinary. Using specialized recording equipment designed to detect voices beyond human hearing range, she asked questions about Sarah Chen and the attempts on Marcus's life. The recordings captured clear responses in a voice that voice analysis software matched to Sarah Chen's with 98% accuracy, based on old family videos provided by her relatives. The voice said, "Marcus, I forgive you. But you must make it right. Find the others. Stop the cycle." The EVP evidence was compelling, Dr. Martinez testified during the investigation. The voice not only matched Sarah's vocal patterns but contained information about her murder that Marcus couldn't have known. Details that were never released to the public or even shared with Marcus during his trial. The others mentioned in the EVP led investigators to re-examine Sarah's 2002 murder. While Marcus had been convicted as the sole perpetrator, new analysis of the crime scene suggested the possibility of an accomplice, someone who had helped plan the robbery but had never been identified. During his original confession, Marcus had mentioned a partner who backed out at the last minute, Detective Jennifer Walsh revealed. But we never found evidence of anyone else involved, so it was dismissed as an attempt to shift blame. The EVP suggested there might have been more to the story. Guided by additional EVP sessions, Marcus began experiencing flashes of memory that weren't his own, visions of Sarah's final moments that revealed a second person at the crime scene. Someone who had encouraged Marcus to pull the trigger and then fled when things went wrong. These supernatural insights led investigators to identify David Ramirez, a former associate of Marcus who had a history of petty crimes but had never been connected to Sarah's murder. When confronted with the new evidence, David confessed to his involvement and revealed that he had been the one attempting to kill Marcus after his parole. David had been living with guilt for 22 years, Detective Walsh explained. When Marcus was paroled, David became convinced that Sarah's ghost would come for him next. He decided to eliminate Marcus to silence any potential revelations about his involvement. But David's confession raised more questions than it answered. How had he known about the EVP warnings? Why had he used methods that perfectly matched the ghost's predictions? And most disturbingly, how had Sarah's voice known about David's role when Marcus himself had forgotten it during his years in prison? The investigation took a supernatural turn when Dr. Martinez conducted a full spirit communication session at the original crime scene. With Marcus present, the team used advanced equipment to attempt direct contact with Sarah's spirit. What they captured would become one of the most documented supernatural events in investigative history. A clear, audible voice that identified itself as Sarah Chen and provided a detailed account of her murder, including David's involvement and his subsequent attempts on Marcus's life. "I forgave Marcus years ago," the voice said during the recording. "He has changed, but David must face justice for his part. Protect Marcus, he is my instrument now." The session also revealed Sarah's motivation for intervening. In the afterlife, she had chosen forgiveness as her path to peace but required justice to be served on all involved before she could fully move on. Sarah's spirit had formed a supernatural pact with Marcus, Dr. Martinez concluded. She would protect him from harm in exchange for his help in exposing the full truth about her murder and bringing all responsible parties to justice. The evidence from the spirit sessions was controversial but compelling enough to secure David's conviction for his role in Sarah's murder and the attempts on Marcus's life. David was sentenced to 25 years in prison, finally closing the case on Sarah's death after 22 years. As part 2 of our investigation concludes, Marcus Thompson had been transformed from a convicted killer into an instrument of supernatural justice, protected by the ghost of the woman he had murdered. But the pact came with a price that would require Marcus to confront his past in ways that would test the limits of forgiveness and redemption. Don't miss part 3, where we'll reveal how Marcus's supernatural protection led to the exposure of a larger criminal conspiracy, explore the scientific debate over the EVP evidence, and discover the final message Sarah's ghost delivered before finding eternal peace. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell, because the conclusion of this story will show you how forgiveness can transcend death and turn killers into instruments of justice. What do you think about ghosts intervening in earthly justice? Let me know in the comments whether you believe Sarah's spirit was real or some form of Marcus's subconscious guilt. And share this video to help others understand that sometimes redemption requires help from the most unlikely sources. Welcome back to the shocking conclusion of our investigation into the Forgiven Killer case. When we left off, Marcus Thompson had formed a supernatural pact with the ghost of his victim, Sarah Chen, who was protecting him in exchange for exposing the full truth about her murder. What happened next would test the boundaries of justice, forgiveness, and the human capacity for change. The exposure of David Ramirez's involvement in Sarah's murder opened the floodgates to a larger conspiracy that had remained hidden for over 2 decades. David's confession revealed that he and Marcus had been part of a small-time criminal gang led by Robert Walsh, a mid-level drug dealer who had ordered the 2002 robbery that led to Sarah's death. Walsh had been the mastermind behind the robbery, David confessed during his plea hearing. He chose the target, provided the weapons, and gave the order to eliminate witnesses if things went wrong. Marcus pulled the trigger, but Walsh was the one who set everything in motion. Guided by Sarah's ghostly communications, Marcus provided investigators with details about Walsh's current operations that led to his arrest. Walsh, now 55 and operating a legitimate business as a cover for his ongoing criminal activities, was charged with conspiracy to commit murder and racketeering. The trial of Robert Walsh became a media sensation, with Marcus testifying about the supernatural assistance that had helped expose the conspiracy. While prosecutors were careful to present only physical evidence and David's confession, Marcus's story of ghostly intervention captured public imagination and sparked debates about the role of supernatural phenomena in criminal justice. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the results speak for themselves, prosecutor Lisa Chen argued during closing statements. Marcus Thompson's transformation and the information he provided led to justice for Sarah Chen after 22 years. That's not supernatural. That's redemption in action. Walsh was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, finally closing the book on Sarah's murder. But the true resolution came during a private spirit session conducted by Dr. Martinez after the trial, where Sarah's ghost delivered her final message to Marcus. "You have made it right, Marcus," the EVP recording captured. "I release you from our pact. Live the life I couldn't. Teach others that change is possible." With those words, the supernatural intervention ceased. Marcus no longer heard Sarah's voice or experienced protective warnings. He described feeling a profound sense of peace, as if a weight he had carried for 22 years had finally been lifted. Sarah's forgiveness wasn't just words, it was action. Marcus reflected in his memoir, which became a bestseller. "She saved my life so I could live it in a way that honored hers." The case had a profound impact on criminal justice reform, highlighting the power of genuine rehabilitation and the importance of addressing all participants in a crime. Marcus became an advocate for restorative justice programs, working with victims' families and former offenders to facilitate healing and reconciliation. "Sarah showed us that forgiveness can be a powerful force for change," explained restorative justice expert Dr. Patricia Moore. Her story, whether supernatural or not, inspired new programs that bring offenders and victims' families together for healing dialogues. The scientific community continued to debate the EVP evidence and Marcus's experiences, with some researchers classifying it as a profound example of collective trauma resolution, while others maintained it was genuine supernatural intervention. Whether Sarah's ghost was real or a manifestation of Marcus's guilt and desire for redemption, the outcome was positive, Dr. Martinez concluded in her final report. Lives were saved, justice was served, and healing occurred. In the end, that's what matters most. Marcus Thompson now lives a quiet life in Atlanta, working as a counselor for at-risk youth and teaching them that it's never too late to change. He credits Sarah's forgiveness with giving him a second chance and dedicates his work to her memory. "Sarah didn't just save my life. She gave me a purpose," Marcus said during a recent interview. "Her forgiveness turned a killer into a healer. That's the real miracle." As our investigation into the forgiven killer concludes, the story of Marcus Thompson and Sarah Chen serves as a powerful reminder that redemption is possible. Forgiveness can transcend death. And sometimes the greatest acts of justice come from the most unexpected places. If this incredible story of supernatural forgiveness and earthly justice has moved you as much as it has moved us, please like this video and share it to help others understand that change is always possible, and that forgiveness can be the ultimate form of strength. Subscribe to Shocking Stories for more investigations that explore the intersections of crime, redemption, and the supernatural, and the ways that even death can't always silence the call for justice. The Forgiven Killer case shows us that guilt can be a prison stronger than any cell, and that true freedom comes not from parole, but from earning forgiveness, whether from the living or the dead. Sarah Chen's spirit, real or imagined, proved that love and mercy can triumph over hatred and revenge, creating healing that echoes beyond the grave.